Because as soon as they left, they said they had one. But it took
You want to look
them.
at it for a minute? I'm still...
So they basically want to know, yes. So it looks to me, in reading the question and the instructions, that what they want to know is if principle applies to the robbery.
Correct. Legally, it does.
Correct. So I don't think it would be right to tell them that you don't take 15.1 literally. I don't think that's the correct answer, even though that's the way they state it.
Right.
But principle applies to robbery.
I think this is going to cause potential confusion. I would request that it be answered exactly the same way you answered the first question.
Okay, well, I think we're supposed to, and it's 35 years ago when I started, you were supposed to say nothing to anything. Now, they give us much more direction about answering questions. There's jury instructions about asking questions during trial. So I am protecting you by not answering it yes or no, you don't take 15.1 literally. I think that's inappropriate and would work against the defendant. But it would be a misstatement of the law if they thought principle did not apply to robbery. So I would not be willing to answer the entire question because I don't want to tell them, I'd rather not comment on 15.1 being taken literally. Do you understand?
Oh, I understand.
Or I can say, yes, you can take it literally, but it must be read along with the principal instruction. So you can choose between those two choices if you'd
Wouldn't
like.
the least harm, though, be to rely on the instructions as previously given? I think if we start trying to bifurcate it,
I'm not trying to bifurcate it.
or try to answer it, it opens potential issues for appeal. I think by answering it in the manner that you've suggested would be essentially virtually instructing them to find their guilt.
No, it's not. The principal instruction applies to all of the charges. It applies to accessory after the fact. It applies to manslaughter. It applies to murder in the first degree.
Absolutely.
So they're just asking, the part that I don't really want to answer is, should number 1 under 15.1 robbery be taken literally? But if you want me to say yes, but it must be read in conjunction with the principal instruction, I will do that if you like that better. The question is, should number 1 under 15.1 robbery be taken literally, or if it is determined that miss me is a principal, would that apply?
I don't like either option. If we have to have a choice between the two.
Well, I mean, make another choice other than not answer it at all. I mean, some questions I can't answer at all. The last question I knew I couldn't answer at all. I just had to have you here because that's the rule, but I knew what the answer had to be. So, if anybody else has another suggestion, I'm happy to listen to it.
Yeah.
I forget what we did in our other trial.
The principal statute applied to the robbery.
That's what we said.
Okay.
The question was also worded a little differently. It wasn't that literal part.
So if you want to look at that and make another suggestion, that's fine. Mr. Camerino, you're welcome to participate.
Please, please.
This is like,
I feel like the lone wolf here.
well, I don't think you're the lone wolf. We're just trying to answer a question to the extent we can, if we can do that without prejudicing anybody. And you don't want a question answered because
I
you...
think of the prejudice against our client.
Mhm.
I mean, there's nothing improper or error if you respond to the first question, correct? We're not doing anything wrong.
Right.
I would say that's...
I'm not telling him to find him guilty, but it would be a misstatement of the law to suggest that the principal instruction doesn't apply.
Well, I'm not saying you do that. I'm just
Well,
saying
but
that you
you're-
answer it at all and say rely on your recollection, which is the safest, least prejudicial route to take. If we start trying to answer part of it,
Okay, then tell me how I answer the whole thing. I offered you multiple options.
is exactly as you had stated. The first question that our response is that you should rely on your instructions in the law as previously given to that effect. To me, that seems to say that's not going to resolve any appeal issues. It's not steering them in any one direction.
I don't plan to steer them in any one direction. If I can clarify the law for them in a way that does not misstate it, and they ask us a specific question, I think it's my job to do that. I'm asking for your input on the best way to do that. I don't pretend to have all the answers, but they're asking for a specific clarification. You know, and that new jury instruction even says, I will answer any questions if I can in writing or orally here in open court. So,
Clarify our position. Again, we would say this answer would be that we would rely on the reflection and instructions provided, and that's in the packet. Anything beyond that tends to spotlight where you have answered. I understand the court might not agree with that.
I don't think it's the same as 35 years ago. I think if I can answer a question without directing them in a direction, I should answer the question. I don't blame you for making the suggestion you're making. I would make the same suggestion if I were you doing your job. My job is to try to answer the question, if I can, in as neutral a fashion as I can, and assist them in understanding the law. Like giving them a new definition from Webster's dictionary is not following the law. Telling them, so, the question is, should number 1 under 15.1 robbery be taken literally, or if it is determined that Miss Me is a principal, would that apply? So, I can say, for instance, the statutes are to be taken literally, and the principal statute applies to all of the charges. So, I've given you the part of its... Yes?
I don't want to irritate the board.
You're not going to irritate me. It's just, if you have a logical, legal objection, make it. If you have another suggestion, make it.
So the
But-
court is not inclined to tell them that they should just rely on their own recollection of the law as stated, and they have it.
If both sides think that's what I should do, then I would probably do it, even though it's not the answer to the question. Is that what you think I should do?
No,
Okay, and what do you think I should do?
I think that we should advise the jurors to the law, the principal statute applies to the robbery.
Okay. And you would probably prefer that I didn't tell them number 1, or that the robbery, that the statute should be read literally, correct? Because that doesn't help you. But I would be willing to do, like I've said multiple times, both sides of it, say all of the instructions are to be read literally, and the principal instruction applies to all of the charges.
Maybe if without waiving, just as an idea, Judge,
You don't have to waive anything, but
provided that the elements of the principal.
See, that's exactly my concern. By saying that the principal instruction applies to all offenses, I'm not sure that's really quite accurate. In one sense, it is available as the jury deliberates to see if the elements of principle are met. But I think if you're going to go that far, you would then have to
Mr.
say,
Trevina, it was listed in the indictment. They're entitled to go on a principal theory. They've said they are going on a principal theory. I must, by law, give the principal instruction. They can choose to read things how they wish to and apply it to the facts how they wish to. But it would be a misstatement of the law to suggest that the principal instruction doesn't apply to all the offenses and the lesser.
then my next position would be the next stage is we read the principle in 15.1 straight from the jury. That way, there's no danger of contamination of any kind, misinterpretation of any kind. You don't have to worry about wording. Just read the law.
You answer the question and then reread the law, or just reread the law?
Just reread the law.
I don't think that answers the question.
I hope it answers the question.
No, it doesn't. And see, in the old days, they didn't get a copy of the instructions. And I give them, they have 12 copies of the instructions. Okay, thank you. Let's bring them in.
Thank you. First to Lloyd. Bring him in, Lloyd. Yes, please. Judge, the jurors are present and seated in the jury box.
Okay, Mr. Demedian, the second question is, should number 1 under 15.1 robbery be taken literally, or if it is determined that Miss B is a principal, would that apply? And the best answer I can give you is that all of the instructions are to be taken literally, and the principal instruction applies to all of the charges. You're welcome.
Judge, the jurors are adding.
Thank you.
All right.
Your Honor, before,
To the call of order.
just for the purposes of the record, Judge, I would like my objection noted. I would also at this time move for a mistrial based upon the court's instruction to the jury over our objection.
Very good. Your motion for mistrial is denied. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Stay right there. Oh, yeah. Very good. Okay. I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, that's that side. Steve, if you're the end, make sure my door's locked. I actually door it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Oh, that's not the office. You just have to be long.
this gate, you would put you.
Oh.
Because you were walking down there with the,
Five
okay,
seconds.
so you with the meeting. Got you.
Support two of those guys. And then she stopped.
First to go to security. Our second question has been taken care of when we are back deliberating. Well, I guess I'm going upstairs. It's freezing back here.
Okay, see ya.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon, yes. We don't get back there and get it hung up now.